Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. In the last 25 years of our journey to saving, investing, we've been, like many folks, on this roller coaster ride of the various financial crises and the changes in inflation and the interest rates. So in this video, I'll try and cover the link between the inflation, interest rates, how it impacts the different investment instruments, and what can you do to minimize that impact, ride that wave, and actually even benefit from these changes in inflation and interest rates. This is not a financial expert view, but a layman's view of a person who's been through this ride. So hopefully by the end of the video, you'll get some practical tips and tricks that we used based on our good as well as bad experiences. So let's first start with inflation. And simply put, inflation is the prices of all the goods and services increasing year on year. And during the last few years, I would say that whatever could go wrong, went wrong, that increased the prices, or we saw unprecedented inflation. I think it all started first with COVID, when everybody was in lockdown, and those lockdowns and COVID itself disrupted the supply chain of goods big time. And to add on to that, most of the governments thought that, just before any financial crisis hits, let's start lowering the interest rates and cost of borrowing for folks. And most of the governments also started giving money, either directly or indirectly, as bailouts. So a lot of money reached in the companies, consumers' hands. And what it did was it created an unprecedented spending online. People were going on Amazon, Flipkart, etc., and ordering, and like as if there was no tomorrow. And actually, we didn't know if there will be a tomorrow during those days. And it was not just buying consumer goods online, but people started thinking of upgrading cars, upgrading their houses, and surprisingly, a lot of investments in shares happened that time, which retail investment, which even increased the prices of the shares, and creating this false sense that the markets were at all-time high because there was so much of retail money that went into the shares. So the inflation was not just on goods and services, but even some of the investments for that matter. Then we thought that, well, COVID is now getting over, life is getting back to normal, but unfortunately, the supply chain again got disrupted because of geopolitical issues. And then this whole war happened between Russia and Ukraine that created a problem for oil, wheat, etc., thereby increasing the cost of production. So all these things, supply chain disruption, bailouts, lower interest rates, demand supply imbalance, cost of production or goods going up, all this just snowballed into inflation that we'd not seen for a long time. Now, what do the banks do, or the central banks or the Federal Reserve, they do? They can't unfortunately control the outcome of a war or stop a war, but what they can do is that they can make the cost of borrowing difficult for people like you and I, as well as for companies, and so that it discourages people to spend money. So they started raising the interest rates. And that itself is an art, because if you raise the interest rates too fast or too much, it can tank the economy, or it could cause something like what is called stagflation, that the economy stagnates or is in recession, but the inflation is still out of control. Fortunately, that didn't happen. The interest rates kept going up, the economy managed to remain sound, and even the economies for the last 1 year have been doing fairly well. Now, how does this interest rate and inflation impact on the investments? Generally speaking, the interest rate has an inverse relationship with the value of the different investment assets. That is, if the interest rate goes up, generally the investment assets start cooling down in their prices. But the reason I say generally is because there are lots of other factors that come in play, and we look at some of those factors when we evaluate these different investment assets. But let's start first with the one that has a direct relationship with interest rate, and that is bonds. For those of you less familiar on bonds, bonds are issued by governments, corporates to borrow money from the public. And that's a fixed duration for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, etc., where they will, by the end of the maturity of that, or even every year, they will pay you an interest rate or a fixed interest rate. Like equity, you can buy these bonds. You don't need to hold them for the entire duration of their till they come to maturity. You can buy and sell, and these bonds even have a unit price. Now, bonds have a direct inverse relationship to the interest rate. So when the interest rate goes up, the unit prices of those bonds go down, and when the interest rate go down, the unit prices of the bond typically go up. And the reason is, let's illustrate by an example. Let's say a bond is offering an interest rate of 5% over a 10-year period on a per annum basis. And then the central banks or the reserve banks raise the interest rate to 7.5%. Now, as an investor, we'll say, hey, why should I hold this bond that is only giving me 5% when I can just put the money as a fixed deposit in a bank and get 7.5% while the money still remains as secure? So people start withdrawing that and they start putting it in the bank. So it creates that demand-supply imbalance and the unit price goes down. Similarly, reverse happens when the interest rates lower down. So let's say that same bond that is offering 5% and the bank lowers the interest rate over 2.5%. Then you'll say, hey, why should I have the money just lying in the bank, just getting 2.5% while the same security, and I will get even the flexibility that I'll buy this bond. So people start buying bonds more and thus pushing the prices up. So there is bonds. The second is equity. Well, equity, it depends on the industry that you are in, that you will have some direct relationship with the interest rates. So if, for example, if you've invested in financial services, typically if the interest rate go up, the prices of those financial services, stocks, etc. go up because they can make more commission and they can make more money with the higher interest rates. But the other industries typically have a bigger impact of the higher interest rate because many industries, they are relying on borrowed money on a monthly basis to invest and their capital expenditure, etc. So their cost of borrowing goes up. And this is very clearly evident for the startups or the growth companies or the tech stocks who are relying that they will get revenues in future years. So when that happens, it creates a problem for them because they have an expensive, they have to borrow money at a more expensive cost when the interest rates are high. So it impacts their prices more. But generally speaking, what we've seen is because the central banks, the reserve banks, they are very cautious not to tank the economy or impact the economy, that they play this role of raising the interest rate on a very quarter-on-quarter basis, watching how the economy is doing. So what we've seen is that the economy generally, or the stock market, has performed whenever for the last 20 years, the interest rates have gone up. Over that 90% or 80% of the time, the economy still has sustained or performed better. And it's very clearly evident if you look at S&P 500, if you look at Sensex, even year till date or even from last year till date, it's had a fantastic double-digit return so far. So that's on the equity. The third is the real estate. Real estate generally gets more impacted when the interest rate goes up, but there are multiple other factors in real estate about demand and supply, the location where you're looking at the buying, the property taxes, the government legislations, etc. But when it comes to people taking mortgage or buying a house based on a loan, then you can imagine that they get more cautious when the interest rates are high, so they will buy less. So generally it cools down the real estate price when the interest rates are up. And surprisingly, that also happens with gold. When the interest rate go up, it has an inverse relationship. The price of gold cools down because gold is more linked with the inflation and it is seen as an inflation hedge. So this was just a very short overview of how the different assets or investment assets get impacted with the changes in inflation and the changes in interest rates. Now, what can you do about it? How do you make sure that you ride the wave and get benefit from that? So there are 5 things that you can do. The first thing is diversify. It's a very simple thing to do, but it's a very important thing to do and something that we've been talking in multiple of our videos. What diversification does is that, as you can see, that it hedges or at least makes sure that you're de-risking from one particular asset. So as an example, if you've got a 100% bonds portfolio, imagine that you will be most impacted with the interest rate changes. Similarly, if you've got 100% real estate portfolio or even 100% equity portfolio, you're much more impacted there. So diversification diversifies your risk. The second is dollar cost averaging. So that is that you are systematically investing and riding the wave of the changes with that systematic investment. So if you are in your journey to financial independence, that means you're earning and you're investing, then it is SIPs, systematic investment plans, that you take that money and invest on a monthly, weekly, and quarterly basis. And if you're in your retirement years, that means that you are not earning anymore, but like us, you're just using or living on your net worth or a portfolio, then you go to SRP, what I would say, systematic rebalance plan, and you keep rebalancing. Now, how do you do that? Now, let's say that you are investing on a monthly basis, 1,000 rupees, $1,000 or euros, whatever currency. Then invest that in the diversified portfolio in an equal measure. And on a monthly basis, when you're putting, let's say, if you have a 70-30 strategy or you're in your 40s, I would say you should go for 70-30 already, or even 60-40. Then you're putting 600 of that into the equities and 400 into the bonds. And when what that dollar cost does is that as and when the prices of bonds increase or decrease, you'll buy more units for that same amount of money, or less units or the more units of the other assets. And it helps you ride that wave better. Similarly, in your systematic rebalancing plan, you keep checking that am I in that 60-40 or 65-35 ratio that I've decided. Because if the bond prices go up, your bond portfolio will automatically go up, so you're able to cash out and you're able to rebalance towards your equity. When the equities go up, you're able to cash out and benefit. Maybe in another video I will do to show how this dollar cost averaging of just rebalancing and systematic investment is much better on a 10, 20, 30-year basis than someone who's investing lump sums, trying to buy, sell, or even time the market. This strategy is always worked better. So that is the second one. The third one is what I say, that you need to have a toggle between your consumer hat and an investor hat. So have those two hats. So when the interest rates are high, during that time, you wear your investor hats. When the interest rates are low, you wear your consumer hat. Now, what does this mean? This means that, for example, during the very high interest rates, refrain from upgrading your house, upgrading your car, or those big assets, bags or watches or whatever you're planning to buy. Instead, put that money as investment. And so if in the high interest rate, if you're, for example, planning to take a mortgage, you can imagine you'll end up paying a lot more on a lot longer basis than the other people who've taken it a lot lower interest rate. On the other hand, if you're not taking a mortgage, but you are buying by cash your property or a car, then that same amount of money, if you would have put it even as a fixed deposit or just invested during that time, it will give you a lot more returns. The fourth one is your emergency fund. As we mentioned in many of our videos, it's ideal to have a 24-month emergency fund. And what this emergency fund does is that when these cycles of inflation and interest rates are happening, then you can use it to your advantage. Like in that same consumer investor hat, when the interest rates are high, you can use that emergency fund to put short-term fixed deposits and even let your emergency fund make money. And at the same time, when if you have to do that upgrade, etc., those emergency funds come very handy towards doing that upgrades, etc. So make sure that you have a 24-month emergency fund in an ideal scenario, or as we say in the videos, as a minimum 6 months emergency fund if you're just starting your career, and build that towards a 24-month. And the last is to make sure that you're quarterly reviewing your portfolio with the interest rates and inflation in mind and checking what the changes are and how this is developing. Now, it could be that you don't need to take any action in a quarter or in 6 months or even a year, but this continuous watching how the inflation is changing, how the interest rate is changing, will make you a lot more literate, a lot more aware, so that you can plan your actions accordingly. And even do nothing is a good action plan to say, hey, this means that I have an understanding for the next few quarters that interest rate doesn't need, or this change in inflation doesn't need for me to do any corrective action here. So hopefully these 5 actions can help you ride the wave better, and hopefully overall this video gives you a better understanding of how the interest rates are linked to the inflation, how the link of this inflation and rising interest rate impact the different investment assets, and it gives you some, what I would say, a layman's view rather than a financial expert view, so it's a simple language to understand. So I hope you liked the video, you found it useful, and you found it insightful. As always, please do reach out with your thoughts, comments, questions. We'll try our best to reply and respond to every one of them. Till the next video, till the next location, and till the next topic, goodbye from me. Bye-bye.